Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. This is the new account week by week. We took last week off to consolidate some of the progress. We're at a point now where so little is happening. Doing these videos actually week by week is going to be less productive unless we're just kind of showing minimal roster progress. So we'll continue going to level 85, and then from there this will probably be a periodic check-in until we hit a few of the milestones that this new account was created to achieve, those being certain legendary events. So to sum up what we accomplished over the past 2 weeks, week 12 and week 13, we're still progressing one level per week. We completed the cargo ship event. Once it became clear that I should have been farming light side ships earlier, that has become a huge focus. Without getting those light side ships, I'm not completing all of those ship daily challenges. It was an error on this account that I did not consider early enough on. Plus, starring up those light side capital ships gets you a bunch of resources that you can then reinvest back into your arena fleet. And then week 13, last week, completed the Telzine event. That one is extremely easy. You basically just have to qualify for it. Daka with the revives carried the event. Asajj helped out a ton too. The rest barely had any abilities or were even leveled up. So that is a good thing to be going after Telzine very early on. And then we made further progress on the assault battles. Even partway through week 14 now, we're at 5 out of 6 assault battles. You basically just need to be level 65 to 70 to complete the first tier of any of the assault battles, except for the Bounty Hunter and Imperial Trooper assault battle, the Rebel Roundup. So these are all the primary reoccurring events in the game, except for Ghost of Dathomir and those mythic battles for the legendary events. And then a couple other things. But these are the reoccurring events that I've prioritized, and I'm going to be building a farming strategy around that I have been exploring with this new account about efficiently building your roster to beating everything and participating in every event by the time you hit level 85, which is what we've been able to do. Because what I haven't liked about some of the other farming strategies is they're recommending certain characters that are not either efficient farms or relevant farms at different points in the game, especially now with the shard economy changes. Some of those characters, if you go after them, it means you're delaying unlocks that you could be getting sooner to make your roster stronger for other portions of the game. And we'll be developing that into a methods video coming up. We'll be wrapping up with showing the roster development. Over the past couple weeks, we have finished top 50 minimum in fleets every day, and especially over the past week, about 50 to 60% of the time we've been finishing in the top 20. So that has helped me start progressing faster with those Cantina nodes, because now we're able to do a refresh, which we weren't able to afford in the previous weeks because of the hyperdrive bundle infection in my particular arenas. So 2 weeks ago, I started showing all of the farms we could have completed by the time we hit level 85. We're going to go through all the factions, show the progress. Basically, the farming strategy that I've been developing, we'll be putting a methods video out about this, is focused on being able to complete at least the first tier of every event by the time you reach level 85, and to be able to get all of the legendaries and one journey character, CLS being the journey character that makes the most sense. So first up, we have Bounty Hunters going after Chewie. Start farming Django and the Houndstooth as soon as you can get it. We are already at 5 stars, likely being able to get 6 stars by the time you hit level 85. Karga, we are trying to get to level 85. By the time, in 2 months, both Mando and Grief Karga are going to be double shard drop characters. They should be the first bounty. They should be part of the ideal Chewie squad, along with Boba Fett and Dengar. IG-88, Cad Bane, Greedo, they can fall out of that Chewie squad and being part of the first bounty hunter and scoundrel characters, especially because Karga and Mando are on 2 nodes. Droids we'll talk about in Separatists and along in other spots. Clones I want to talk about just briefly. I do want to get them before level 85 and start working towards Shakti, but since they don't work towards anything, they're going to be held off for a little bit longer, other than 5s and Sergeant, because they help with ships, and some of them happen passively. Clone Sergeant in particular, a lot of this progress has been happening through Bronziums. With the Empire, this has been my arena squad, and now that we know Moff Gideon is on a very cheap node, there's a bunch of other Imperial Troopers. Troopers in the future, a year from now, is going to make a ton of sense as one of the first squads you should be going after, especially those shared stats that Moff Gideon gives. But we are all set up for R2. We're working towards 7-star Palpatine. Really, the big hindrance here is coming down to credits. And because there has not been a credit change to go along with this shard economy change, it makes a lot of sense to stop at 6 stars and wait on that promotion, the 7-star promotion, until later in order to save up on a lot of those credits so you can level up other squads for those assault battle completions. Ewoks, you should be going after Chirpa, Wicket, Elder Logray, and Paplu from the start in order to use them in the assault battles, in order to beat Endor escalation. They should be level 80. They should have high development on all of their abilities. Like, I'll just click on Chirpa for a moment. All these abilities need to be higher in order to beat that Endor escalation. So because of that, even though you can qualify for Endor escalation at 4 stars, you're not going to be able to beat it until you have the credits to level them up. So because it's going to take so long to get these characters to level 80, you have all the time you need to farm for the ideal team. So worrying about Scout or Tebow trying to beat, like I did that. I threw a bunch of Galactic War currency at Tebow trying to get him to 4 stars before an Endor escalation, but it was a complete waste. So instead, just go after the ideal Ewok team. First Order are surprisingly a pain, not from a farming standpoint, from a gearing standpoint. All these characters are just requiring pieces of gear that is relatively speaking to other starting squads a little bit more annoying, which is why they are all at 6 stars right now, whereas other characters have been able to bring up to Gear 7, Gear 8 relatively cheaply. But we've got Kylo Ren Unmasked. First Order Stormtrooper is worth going after from the beginning, because you're going to have a period where you don't have a lot of nodes that you can go after, but you have a lot of energy. That's a good time to focus on First Order Stormtrooper. He's a good one to have. And later on, you're going to be going after other nodes, and it's more of an annoyance at that point to give energy to First Order Stormtrooper. Then you got Executioner, you got Officer. I'm ignoring Phasma and the pilot. There is an argument to be made for Hux and the Sith Trooper because they are on cheaper nodes, but I held off on them. Although Sith Trooper I am going to be going after as one of my Sith for the assault battle. Galactic Republic, we're working towards a Padme team. We've got Anakin unlocked and working towards building them up. Ahsoka was one of my Jedi to start developing that Galactic Republic team, because we'll be having Padme unlocked and even possibly at 6 stars when we get to level 85. Geos, this is our fleet. Poggle is being farmed passively going after IG-2000 shards, and Brood Alpha will be able to start farming probably tonight. I think we're hitting level 83 tonight. Then Imperial Troopers, we touched upon them with the Empire. Stark, I've been going after. The guild store currency, it is worth farming a lot more characters in the guild store than it was previously without the shard economy change. It's a lot cheaper to go after those characters. And other than the exclusive characters, I've been going after Old Ben, Luke, B2 is just so much faster and cheaper now to go after characters. So augmenting those farms makes a lot of sense. Jawas I haven't touched yet, but I think I want to start working on them as a geo counter for Grand Arena. Jedi here, everybody is ready to get a 7-star Yoda, but we're holding off. And Obi-Wan we are working on as part of the CLS requirements, and that has so far been an almost entirely guild store farm, because we're done now with Dengar, Sunfac, Logray. We've got Jin unlocked, we've got Colonel Stark unlocked. We've been able to do a ton of farms and get them out of the way, so now we can work on Obi-Wan kind of guilt-free. Mando we'll skip over, we're not prioritizing any of those. Night Sisters, Night Sisters you should go after early. In order to start farming Telzine shards, you basically just need to qualify Old Daka and Asajj. I'll show you the ability levels. At low ability levels and at low gear, and they're cheap low gears, they were able to basically carry that Telzine event, and now we're working towards an ideal Night Sister team so that we can have them ready for Grand Arena. Old Republic we are ignoring for now, but they are someone I'm going to be working on as soon as we have CLS. Phoenix I ignored because I hate Phoenix, but it is costing me in fleets, not in Fleet Arena, but in those daily challenge battles. I'm working on them very heavily right now so that I can get more fleet materials. Rebels, this is all CLS right now. So there's my farm boy Luke, there's my R2, and Stormtrooper Han and Leia, we are focusing on them in the Squad Arena store, and we should be done with them fairly soon. The only thing stopping me from unlocking CLS at level 85 is likely going to be credits, and maybe ability mats, but it won't be shards. Rebel Fighters, I'm showing this just to show the Rogue One. We've got Jin unlocked and up at 4-star so we can participate in the territory battles. We've got Biston and Scarif. I didn't farm them, they came from drops, galactic challenges, and other places, but because of the U-Wing, I do want to have them, and Biggs as part of it. This is a lot of Rogue One and fleet requirements that we're trying to capture through the Rebel Fighters, and we did farm Mon Mothma. We unlocked Mon Mothma. Mon Mothma is going to have some geo level annoyance capabilities early on, so I did go after her early on, even though that's a single shard drop. Resistance has been for the most part ignored. That's another thing that after CLS we will start taking a look at. Finn is on the same node as Piet, so we were actually able to make a ton of progress on Resistance Hero Poe. Scoundrels, this is more about Mando. We've been working on Mando requirements, so like you can see IG-11 and Quill are developed. Separatist, every time Grievous appears, I farm Grievous, or I buy his shards because they show up so infrequently. I always try to keep a little bit of currency around. Most of these other droids have been happening either through Bronziums, Droidicas, on Cad Bane's ship node. So we don't have progress on B1 or B2 really. I only bought his shards once but he's going to be probably primarily farmed through Guild Store once I get Old Ben and Luke started. And other than that, I have a decent Newt team for Padme. I just need to start giving them credits and ability mats. Sith, on my main account, this is one of my strongest squads, but I've held off on this account just because of where they're farmed and because they're not helping me out. But these three here, paired with two with Crew and Kylo, were able to handle that first tier of the assault battle almost no problem. Crew and Kylo, they went out fairly early, but these three carried it. Sith Empire's nothing. The last one here is going to be Smugglers. This is all so I can participate in that event. And Lando, we're working on the cargo ships. Let me show the cargo ships before we wrap this up. So I'll just say what I'm farming in each of these stores, and then we're going to be done. In the Cantina store, we are basically done with the big things. We are just starring up Oldaka, then we're going to go after 5s. Ahsoka, Chopper, Stormtrooper, they're all done. Officer, we got to 5 stars basically. I'm hoping Galactic War will wrap that farm up. Guild store we already talked about. This is all Old Ben and Farm Boy Luke right now. What we're doing here in the Squad Arena store is we're getting Leia up to 7 stars. Galactic Wars all ships, and by proxy that is Biggs. We need him start up. On Fleet Arena we are working on getting our light side ships further along, and we do grab TIE Advance and Slave One when their shards appear. And Grievous, we are done with Vader. We just wrapped up Vader. And I actually do use the Guild event store to speed up farms for any ship I'm working on. It was really helpful for Sunfac, but now Phantom and Ghost, we are buying those shards when we see them. And that is going to wrap up that. So that wraps it up for week 12 and week 13 on the new account. For the next couple weeks, we'll go back to that weekly schedule until we hit level 85, which I think is going to be happening at week 16. And then we will go, we'll be more inconsistent and do it periodically as I think it's relevant until we hit some of those major milestones that I want to be hitting. And then we'll figure out what we want to do with Grand Arena and other things for the account. But thank you for watching. Be safe out there, everyone, and be excellent to each other.